This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter, and this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. No, I'm gonna edit and put the music in and post.
I know
no, that was
where the music is.
Oh no.
I could hear the jingle in your head.
Oh yeah.
I could see you hearing it.
Jesus. Hello and welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show, each episode. You can find more of our work at ObsessiveViewer.com, and you can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at Facebook.com/TheObsessiveViewer. And as always, this episode is brought to you by Horror Movie Yearbook, which is a horror movie podcast that discusses a few different horror movies from a specific year and contextualizes them and discusses them in how did I used to say that? And discusses them relative to the year that they were released and current events and pop culture of the year of release. You can find them at HM Yearbook on Twitter and at horrormovieyearbook.com. And yeah, so first of all, elephant in the room. We have not had an episode in a while. I don't know when I'm going to put this up, but we haven't had an episode in a while. I just want to apologize for that. We've just been busy. And so yeah, this is just an impromptu episode here. So yeah, welcome back to me. So this episode it's
going great so far.
It is.
I think
it is. This is an interesting episode because I have a guest. As you can hear her speaking here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Kyrsten, Kyrsten Leister. You can follow me on Twitter at burger_lurker.
Nice. Very nice.
Thanks.
And this is your first time on this podcast.
My first, yeah, it is. Yeah. I'm not a podcaster.
No.
I'm not a world-renowned movie and TV reviewer. So.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. That's what I am.
Some call me a savant, though.
They call you something else too.
Wonderful, talented, amazing.
You are actually very talented.
Thank you.
Thank you. You perform in plays around Indianapolis and everything. Yeah. I thought for a second you said you too. I was like, no.
No. I would never say that about you.
Oh yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So this is your first time on the podcast. We're very good friends.
Yes.
We go see a movie pretty much every week, and I reference you in the podcast as my friend who I go see movies with.
Yes, that's me.
Yeah. So now you can hear her voice, everyone.
Great.
So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, about your taste in movies, and just things you want in the universe.
Okay.
How incredible I am, everything.
Well, I'm going to ignore that last part.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty open-minded, I think, when it comes to movies. I love action and mystery. I love comedy. And I'm not a big fan of rom-coms, though, which I know is kind of a sore spot because you love them so much.
I did show you The Big Sick, though.
Yes. Yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah.
But I've never really been a huge fan of romantic movies. But yeah, I love science fiction. Pretty much everything else.
Okay. What would you say? So this is a movie and TV podcast because I know that you're an avid listener.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sake of appearance.
Yeah, sure. You did listen to the first couple episodes. I remember that specifically.
Yeah,
way back in the day. But not now. That's fine. Whatever.
I hear you talk about movies enough.
That's fair. That is very fair. You're very generous with your time with me. So, but yeah. So, what would you say are some of your favorite movies, favorite TV shows? What kind of TV shows do you watch? What kind of TV shows do you watch that you have your friends watch and then they don't watch the last episode that you really want them to watch for months?
Well, we'll start with movies.
Okay.
I guess my top 3 favorite movies of all time are Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Airplane, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I don't know why. I just...
All very funny movies.
They're great movies.
Yeah.
I guess a couple favorite TV shows. I love the show Flashpoint.
Now, for everyone who's listening who doesn't know what Flashpoint is...
Which is probably everyone who's listening. It's a Canadian police procedural drama. I think it was 6 seasons. And it give it a chance, people. It's a show about found family. Matt watched a couple episodes.
I watched I watched every episode of the first season except for the last one.
But you didn't watch the episode with Tatiana Maslany, which is a fantastic episode. She's an amazing actor.
I've been super busy.
You haven't.
I have.
But it's a great show. That's a great episode too.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right now. I'm rewatching Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Nice.
I'm about halfway through season 2 right now. It's kind of a long watch. It's 8 or 9. It might be, how many seasons is it?
I want to say it's up there, 8 or...
And then hour long, 45-minute long episodes.
Yeah, it might even be like 10 or 11.
But my mom is a huge fan of The Next Generation, so I watched it constantly as a kid with her.
Nice.
So I'm rewatching it now and kind of the nostalgia and going through it and remembering again how great the characters were and how wonderful and colorful the stories were. And I'm just rewatching it. I'm so impressed with the graphics at the time. I feel like they were really, even in season 1 before they probably had much of a budget.
Right.
It's just really, I'm kind of blown away by how good they were for the time.
And it was 7 seasons.
7 seasons, yeah.
That's cool. I started watching The Next Generation, I watched 3 or 4 episodes a while ago, and then I think just that it seemed a little daunting just because it's a lot.
It is.
To go
It's
through.
it's a big investment of your time if you're going to go into it.
Right.
Yeah. I just finished watching Kimmy Schmidt.
Okay. Yeah.
I watched the first season of it when it first came out, and I loved it, but I never got around to watching the rest of it. So I watched season 2, and they just released half of season 3.
Right.
It's great.
I think season 4.
Oh, was it?
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, it's great. I love Titus.
Yeah, he's amazing.
There's no other character on any show like Titus Andromedon.
Right.
He's so wonderful.
He was in the preview. Okay, so Netflix has an original movie out called Set It Up. That is a romantic comedy. Actually, it has Lucy Liu, who plays a character named Kyrsten, which I never see in movies. I've Matt's are a dime a dozen, but Kyrsten's I never see in movies. But
we're pretty unique. Yeah.
Yeah. But and she plays a very terrible boss and very terrible person. So, anyway, I started watching it because I love rom-coms,
yes.
And then also I noticed that the actor who plays Titus was in the trailer for it, and apparently I didn't finish it or anything, but apparently he's just in one scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the movie wasn't that good what I saw of it, but yeah. So, so Next Generation. And then Flashpoint. Any other shows?
I love Stranger Things. I got hooked on it instantly.
Nice.
That's the only show I've ever truly binge watched.
Nice.
I'm kind of weird about watching TV. So I don't have cable or I don't have HBO Go or anything. I just have Netflix.
Right.
And I will watch an episode a day, once a week. So I don't watch a lot.
Right. What's that like? I don't.
Well, it's I'm busy. I'm in demand.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But Stranger Things season 1, I knocked it out in 2 days, which for me that's huge.
And you actually took the day off from work.
I did
because it came out on your birthday.
Yeah, season 2 came out on my birthday, and it was I think it might have been a Friday.
It was.
I took the day off work and I went over to my parents' house and I watched it with my mom. We spent the whole day. We just watched the entire second season of Stranger Things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about season 2 of Stranger Things?
I liked it.
If you remember.
I liked it. I liked season 1 more. It was very, the plots were kind of all over the place because we were following 11 separately we were following the rest of the group. And then, I'm so bad with character names.
Oh, yeah.
Will's brother.
I'm bad with character names
and
too.
Nancy.
Nancy.
They had their
John. No. Is that the actor's name? I don't know.
They had, that guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Nancy and the guy had their own side plot.
Yeah.
You know, and I love Steve. I was rooting for Steve.
Right.
You know, he had that bit with the flowers, and I was happy he was sidetracked by Dustin because I think that
that pairing was amazing.
Is just gold.
Yeah.
They're fantastic together. But I was kind of rooting for Nancy and Steve to get back together, even though I knew it wasn't going to happen. I just have never liked Will's brother from the beginning.
Okay.
I don't even like him enough to remember his name.
He
just creeped me out.
He's creepy.
From season 1 when he was taking pictures of them like in the woods. I was like, that's not really redeemable in my book.
Right. And what really stuck out to me really immediately was that he just looks exactly like a young Stephen King, so that's what I'm fixated on. But the growth of Steve as a character has been great. Season 1, if you would have been like, oh, you're going to root for Nancy and Steve, I would have been like, no.
Well,
I don't
you know,
think so.
and the thing is, they didn't intend to keep Steve around, apparently.
Right.
He was written to be, you know, a plot device. He was a villain. And then they just loved the actor so much that they wrote a redemption in for him at the end of season 1 and then brought him into season 2. That was completely unexpected for them, but I totally get it. He's evolved into a really great character, so I'm really glad they kept him around.
Yeah. Absolutely. And just the character arc with him and Dustin, him and the kids in season 2 is like perfect. Like absolutely perfect.
Number 1 babysitter.
Yep. Oh yeah. A couple other things before we get into whatever we're going to be talking about. You went to Shocktober in Irvington.
I did.
Yeah. You actually won Nightmare on Edgewood tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
which I went. Did we do that on my birthday?
Yeah.
Yep. That was I had a very special birthday this last year. We went to the Nightmare on Edgewood haunted house. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And speaking of which, we have booked the venue for Shocktober in Irvington for 2018. It's going to be October 12th, and tickets are going to go on sale soon. They'll probably be on sale by the time you're listening to this. So check out the Facebook page at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer or facebook.com/Shocktober in Irvington or just shocktoberirvington.com, and you'll find information there.
It's very exciting.
Yes, I'm very excited. Yeah. It's going to be our 5th year doing it.
It's great.
So 5th year. Yeah. And then like just this past week was the 5th year anniversary of the podcast. So I decided
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And my birthday is next week. So
well, happy double birthday.
Thank you. What are you getting me? I'm not going to edit this out.
So let's talk about what we just watched.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a Kyrsten, since you don't listen to the podcast,
right? I just want to clarify, it's not anything personal. I don't listen to podcasts.
Okay.
I have Netflix and I watch it once a week. So
that's fine. That's fine. It's fine. You must have like a job where you don't have you can't have like headphones in or anything then, right?
You know that's not the case.
Yes, I know. Anyway.
I listen to Hamilton pretty much every day.
Right. Hamilton or John Mulaney.
Yeah. Oh God, I love John Mulaney.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah. So anyway, enough being a dick, but
thank you.
Yeah. Well, for now. But yeah, so basically we have
stuck. Sorry. No, she got it.
Oh.
For those of you listening at home, Matt's cat Pizza was stuck.
The official mascot of the Obsessive Viewer.
And it was real cute.
Yeah. Wow. I was terrified for her well-being, but
she was fine.
Anyway, so since you haven't listened to the podcast, we do a thing called Potpourri, which basically the structure of an episode is that we talk about a main topic, which used to really be like favorite serial killers in movies or favorite something or like one-night teen party movies, stuff like that. But recently, for the last year or so, we've just been doing basically movie review episodes. So the structure of it is we do the topic and then we end the show with a potpourri section, which is just us going back and forth talking about stuff we've watched or stuff we're looking forward to. So my thought is that, since this is your first episode ever being a guest on this podcast or any podcast, although you were an actress in a podcast.
Yeah. It was,
I don't know if you want to say that.
It was set up like a soap opera and it was just scripted. We would play characters. So it was, to me, it felt more like an acting job than what I would consider a podcast.
Right. It was a performance.
It was just voice acting. It was set up like a radio show. So it was a lot of fun. We don't do it anymore.
Right.
It died.
Right. Oh, okay. Is it still like available and stuff?
As far as I know, it's called The Rich and the Filthy.
There you go.
It was pretty entertaining. Like good
short
good
episodes,
stuff.
a lot frequent
yeah.
and everything. It was...
Probably 20 to 30 minute episodes.
Yeah.
We did our own commercials for hilarious fake products. It was a lot of fun, but it just kind of, stopped. So.
Right. Sure. So basically this is just going to be kind of extended potpourri. So as we mentioned, we see a movie together pretty much every week, just about. So we've seen a ton of movies, and I just kind of wanted to go through some of the movies we've seen since it's been a couple months since we've had an episode of the podcast. So I kind of wanted to just catch up our audience with what I'm watching, and then you can throw your opinion in. I guess I don't know. That's a joke. That's a joke, guys. I'm not really that much of a dick, guys.
Help me.
So,
please.
God. Anyway, so the last movie we saw in the theater was Tag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
It was.
That was a great movie.
It was.
I mean, for what it was, it wasn't some, life-changing event, but it was a lot of fun.
It's not going to be like an Oscar-nominated movie or anything, but as far as like a summer comedy, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It was a really solid comedy.
Yeah.
Great cast.
Oh, yep. I love Hannibal Buress, really in anything.
His stand-up is amazing. Every role he plays is hilarious.
Yep. And
he was probably the funniest character in Tag, I think.
I would say so. And
his one-liners were really great.
Yeah, and I mentioned this to you after that. He's one of those actors that he's a supporting actor guy in comedies, but I would love for him to just have a lead somewhere.
Yeah, kind of break out of that type.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was great in it, and just the cast all together: Ed Helms, John Hamm, Jeremy Renner, and who am I blanking on?
Nick Miller.
Oh, yeah. Jake Johnson.
Yeah.
Jake Johnson, yeah. They were all great together. And also, the women in the movie, Isla Fisher and...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She was hilarious.
Yeah. Did you almost say Amy Adams?
Almost, yeah.
Okay, because they look almost identical.
I know one redhead name.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Isla Fisher and Leslie Bibb. I thought she was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tag, for those who don't know, is a movie about a group of friends who have played tag every year for 30 years, and they're confronted with the fact that the one player who hasn't been tagged once is going to retire, so they're out to tag him.
Yeah, and it's based on a true story.
Yep.
Of this real group of friends who played the same game of tag, and what it is they get together one month.
Yeah.
There's 1 month, it was May. The whole month is just blocked out for tag. Right. And you never know when someone's, cause they all live, all over the country now. They have jobs and families. So you never know when someone is going to fly across the country to tag you. Yeah. It's a great concept. And it is.
And they did a lot of really good variety with the different setups and everything and the tags, the actual tagging. And it was there's just so much variety, and, not to spoil anything, but watch through the credits because there's some good stuff in the credits.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah.
I did hear, I didn't know this when we watched it, but did you hear Jeremy Renner?
Yeah.
He broke both of his arms.
Yeah. Did you end up reading up on this at all?
I didn't. I heard about it and I was like, that's interesting. And then I went on with my life. But I'm bringing it up now because it's really interesting. Jeremy Renner is playing the character who has never been tagged. And the whole bit is that he's probably the best tag player in the entire world.
He's like the Jason Bourne of tag.
Yeah, he takes it so seriously. He's got this weird villain lair set up in his basement, and it's very elaborate. But so Jeremy Renner did his own stunts for the film, which are pretty extensive for a movie like this. And apparently he broke both of his arms filming. Yeah,
it's unreal. It's just amazing.
Yeah. Are you pulling it up now?
I am. Yeah. The actor broke. Wow. The actor, this is coming from theringer.com. The actor broke both of his arms 3 days into filming the movie.
3 days?
Yeah. Forcing the studio to resort to special effects and forcing one writer down a deeply disturbing path of obsession. So there's a whole article about it.
Wait, what?
Wow.
3 days into filming?
Yeah, that's insane.
So wait, his arms were CGI'd the entire film, basically?
Yes.
Because 3 days into filming, they couldn't have gotten very much footage.
No.
He was in a lot of the movie. He's a main character. They CGI'd arms?
That is insane.
That's pretty funny.
That is crazy.
That's great. Did they say what stunt it was?
Because
there's one bit where he like jumps out of a window and rolls off the roof and lands on the ground. I wonder if it was that one.
Yeah, I would think it would be, because I think that would be like the only one that really, well, there is a lot of elaborate things, but there's okay. Oh, all right. So it looks like one of the things they did was why he's wearing a jacket through most of the movie.
Oh, he does stand very still.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Yeah, he does.
So I bet his arms are like, he's got like casted arms just hanging by his sides.
Wow. That's funny. To explain away all the sleeves, maybe there's a line in the, this is just conjecture. Okay, yeah. So anyway, I'll link to the show notes. I'll link in the show notes. But yeah, so Tag was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It did what I want a comedy to do, is it met my expectations.
Yeah.
Like, comedy in general is really hard to pull off in a way that's like memorable. You're right. Like, you referenced your 3 favorite movies are all comedies, and very like pristine comedies, or like well respected comedies.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll see a comedy movie and it's like, oh, that was funny.
Yeah.
And then I never see it again.
Exactly.
I never think about the movie again.
Yeah.
But
which is, I feel like comedy is one of those genres that is just very easy to kind of crank out a movie, and then it's kind of the type of genre that you kind of throw whatever you want and see what sticks, and then put it out.
And if it flops, it flops. So what? They're cheap to make.
Exactly. And so,
except for when one of your main actors breaks both of his arms, and then you have to CGI his arms for the rest of the film.
Right. But yeah, and then it's not a big loss for the studio or anything, and it's also one of those things that, you know, some things could you could trigger a funny response at, or like you can think something's funny and then something in the next thing is not going to be funny. It's not like, tonally, comedies are a lot broader than you know, other genres, it seems. But like, perfect examples, last year we saw Baywatch.
Yeah.
Pretty forgettable.
Yeah,
like,
it was funny.
Yeah.
But I didn't love it.
It was. Yeah, but I remember like one scene, like the scene with the dick in the
in the chair.
Yeah. Like, that stuck with me as a man, and also just I thought that was a pretty funny bit. But like, if you ask me to say
narrate the plot of Baywatch, I honestly don't remember. I don't remember who the villain was.
I know that Oscar from The Office was in it for a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, he died.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert for Baywatch.
For someone who it's still on their watch list.
Right. But yeah, Baywatch wasn't good. But like, you get comedies that are just like, not that Tag is like a great comedy or anything, but it's not a bad way to spend an hour and a half.
Yeah, I would watch it again and I would still laugh at the same jokes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we were talking about Hannibal Buress, and I want to sidetrack for a minute. That I a couple weeks ago I sent you an article about Hannibal Buress was in Spider-Man: Homecoming,
because I had not heard anything about this. This was amazing.
Yeah, and he apparently at the Hollywood premiere that night he was filming Tag.
Okay, was it Tag?
It was Tag, yeah.
Okay.
I found another article that went a little bit more in depth, and I didn't send that to you because I wanted to save it and talk about it now.
Okay, nice. Before you were even invited on the podcast.
I knew it would be handy someday, and here it is. But so he was going to be unavailable for the red carpet premiere of Spider-Man: Homecoming. So he put out a tweet looking for Hannibal lookalikes, and he had an email address, and it was something like Hannibal Buress lookalike 3 at gmail.com or something.
I think he actually said like, yes, I had to, like, there were 2 other ones. I don't know what you guys are doing or something.
Yeah. And he hired an actor who looks nothing like him. It's just a black guy.
Looks and sounds nothing like him.
Yeah.
Like,
and he had this guy go out and do interviews as Hannibal Buress, and people bought it.
Yeah.
And I just think that's hilarious.
It's amazing.
He immediately deleted the tweet once he found the guy.
Nice.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So I have so much respect for Hannibal Buress.
Yeah, because that's a bit that is just for him. Like, that's not like it's funny, but it's not like one of those things where you think that he's he doesn't seem like he's overly like serious. I don't know if I'd say overly serious about his career, but like he isn't like obsessed with his image or anything.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
he can do that, and it sounds like it's just for shits and giggles
Yeah.
on his part. Just really,
It's just a great
really
story.
brilliant. Oh yeah. But yeah, so Tag was fun, and another comedy, while we're kind of circling that we saw recently was Super Troopers 2.
Oh yeah.
Or
yeah.
Super Toopers, as I say it. Actually, I think I brought it up on the podcast before, now that I think
Don't
about
call
it and
it
saying
that.
it online. No, it's a podcast. You know, you record and you know, I don't know what you call them, but yeah. Supposed to talk on a podcast. That's fine. Anyway.
So yeah, we saw
anyway.
Super Troopers 2.
Yeah, so I think I already said what I thought about it on the podcast. What did you think of Super Toopers?
I thought it was funny. I did not think it was as funny as the first one,
Right.
but that, you know, how much time passed between the first movie and the second one?
I want to say it's been like 16 years.
Yeah, it's been a good chunk of time.
Yeah. Super Troopers. Yeah, it was about 17 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Have you seen the first one
Yes.
like recently?
Oh, not recently. It's been
Okay.
several years.
See, because I knew that we were going to go see it, and it was like really cheap on Google Play,
Yeah.
which is where I buy have a bunch of like digital movies. So I went ahead and bought it thinking like, oh, it's a good like comedy. I work from home, which now I don't anymore, but I can just throw it on in the background. And I watched it like the week before we saw Super Troopers 2, and I was
Yeah.
like, doesn't really get me the same way that it used to. Like it's funny.
But
and
also
it's
think about the
fine.
age you were when it came out. I'm sure
Exactly.
that kind of humor is hilarious
Oh, yeah.
to a teenage boy.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
But that was the kind of humor the second one was too.
Yeah, and like there were some bits that worked for me, but
There were some bits that really didn't.
Yeah.
I felt like.
my kind of takeaway from it was that the story just wasn't as interesting as like the actual
Yeah.
like plot of
Yeah.
why they're doing what they're doing didn't really work for me. How did you feel about the Canada jokes?
It was a lot. I thought Rob Lowe was hilarious though.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more dicks than I thought. Can I
Yeah.
say dicks on the podcast?
Yes, you can say dicks on the
There were
podcast.
several more dicks than I was expecting.
Yeah. Because you're expecting some.
A few.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was like the three Canadian Mounties. They were just stereotypes.
They hit that stereotype so hard
Yeah.
for so long throughout the whole movie.
Like that was half the jokes.
Yeah.
Was Canadian Mountie jokes.
Totally.
So, and they even have that whole bit where where the troopers go undercover as Canadian Mounties to try and like dirty their reputation.
Yeah.
So they put on Canadian Mountie uniforms and they do traffic stops and stuff. And
Right.
one of the bits is they pull over Jim Gaffigan,
Right.
who of course has from the first movie.
Yeah. You might say they pulled him
Jim Gaff again.
Gaffigan. Yeah.
Do I kind of pull your
Pulled him
joke?
over. Yeah. They pulled over Jim Gaff again.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
just said that.
I know.
Don't edit out me saying it
I'm
first and
editing
then keep
everything.
you saying it.
I'm
This
the
is
star
going to be a
of this
podcast. It's just going to be an
podcast,
hour of silence.
and me making my jokes, and then I'm gonna cut that. I'm gonna cut you laughing out, and then just like duplicate it throughout it, so it sounds like you're laughing at everything I'm saying. So,
Kill me now.
Anyway, so
But I felt like a lot of it was forgettable.
right, yeah, and it was just okay.
Yeah.
It was just
Well,
okay.
it didn't live up to my expectations based on the first film, but I didn't think it would.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it just seemed like some of the appeal of the first one, or some of the like the low budgetness of it, is what kind of works for me for the first movie, because it's just comes across as just a comedy troupe making a movie.
Yeah.
And you know.
Yeah.
But now it's like they've all had careers and everything, and it's like they're doing more elaborate stuff.
Yeah.
And
They're
it
too
just-
they're too big for the film they were trying to make.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But we can we can switch gears and talk about this. Well, okay, let's go with Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
What a great movie.
It was awesome.
What a great movie.
Like, okay, so you're more well versed with comics. I don't know if you ever read Deadpool or anything. But how did you feel about the first Deadpool and Deadpool 2? What did you think?
Fantastic. It's the Deadpool that is recognizable from the comics.
Yeah.
Which the Deadpool from X-Men Origins was not. It was a different character with Deadpool's name.
Yeah.
So it was really refreshing and exciting to get the film that the film that we needed for Deadpool. I think I liked the second Deadpool more than the first one.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm in the same camp.
It just felt funnier.
Yeah.
Because
bigger.
we watched the first Deadpool right before we saw the second one in in theaters. And it was just as funny as I remembered it, but there was just something more about Deadpool 2. It was like Deadpool 1 was kind of testing the waters for the character, for how far they could push, for how edgy he could be, and then Deadpool 2, that was where he came to life.
Absolutely.
After he died.
And it was and it was one of those things where Deadpool 2 is, it seems, I don't know if it's, the cynical side of me is going to say that it seems rare that, like, the studio, like, recognized what worked in Deadpool. Because when Deadpool came out, like, obviously, I'm fairly certain that the studio was like, oh shit, we did good.
Yeah.
How can we do more good? Well, next.
Much more good better.
Much good better.
Much gooder.
How can we make it gooder? And they, like, actually improved on what was established that was successful.
Yeah, it was great. I loved the whole bit with the X-Force. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Several big name actors who were not in the film for very long, who you think are going to be integral, like just so imperative, to the end plot, and they're not.
And it's a bit,
it's great. I loved Peter.
I was just going to bring it up.
Great.
Played by Rob Delaney. Do you follow him on Twitter at all?
I don't. But I know who he is though.
Yeah, he's really funny. Yeah. And like in the movie, just there's one line that. After, like, a couple weeks after we saw it, I went to Vegas, and, like, every day that I'm putting on, like, sunscreen and everything, I kept thinking of the line. I don't know how many people this cable guy's killed, but he certainly killed less than melanoma.
And he's right. The silent killer.
So good.
Yeah, it was great. I was really shocked at how many people brought their kids to see Deadpool 2. And now, here's the thing. I kind of get, like, infants, although I'm the type of person who thinks you should never bring an infant to any movie whatsoever.
Right.
Because infants are unpredictable and horrible, and you never know how they're going to react to any kind of... You can take them to a Disney movie, and they're going to scream and cry.
I honestly thought for a second that you were going to say, because, stimulating, like, their eyes and everything, it could be bad for their vision and everything. No. You're thinking about them being dicks.
Well, they're not dicks, they're being babies.
Well,
I don't feel like babies belong in movies.
I agree.
Not to say parents shouldn't get to go to movies.
Sure. Well, they have, like mommy, I don't know if it's called, like, mommy and me classes, like, screenings and stuff, like matinee screenings that they have discounted for, like, that. But anyway.
But the point is, I get infants because they don't they can't comprehend what they're watching on the screen.
Right.
So I get that to an extent. And I get kind of older children, like 12 years old and up, I get that because they're kind of, typically a little more mature at that age. They, they can understand what's happening. But there were several parents who had, like, 7-year-olds. And it's like, wow, 7 is old enough to understand, but not old enough to know what to do with it.
Exactly.
And that's, like, guys, Deadpool 2 definitely earned its rating.
It really did. It's
so
not
there's no reason to have, and there were a lot of kids.
There were. Oh, yeah.
We were sitting right next to a family with kids.
Yeah, and, like, I think I had said, like, because we heard some kids, like, up toward the front, and then I said something to you, like, wow, I'm surprised anyone brought kids, and then you're
and I'm like, there's a kid sitting
like, right next to you.
Yeah.
Like, that's how much I pay attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a great movie, and the kids did not
implode or anything. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. And I'm sure they're probably scarred for life, or,
They
whatever.
gotta be.
Yeah. Like, I can just imagine the car ride home, like, Mommy, what are anal beads? I don't even know if was there a reference to anal beads in
there? Had to have been. It's a Deadpool movie.
Yeah. What'd you think of Josh Brolin as Cable in it?
I loved him as Cable. As great of a character as I think Thanos is, I thought Josh Brolin makes a better Cable than he does Thanos.
Oh, interesting.
I do. I don't know. It could be that so much of Thanos is CGI that
True,
it kind
that's
of
fair.
feels sort of like it's not the actor, Whereas Cable, although a lot of him is CGI, his appearance, his voice,
Right.
there's still so much of the actor behind it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He was such a fun character. I mean, he made him witty and sarcastic and funny,
Right.
and likable, even though he's presented as a villain.
Exactly. And he fits so well within the movie. Like within the world that was created.
Guess who else
Deadpool
fits in
1.
well? Zazie Beetz as Domino was amazing.
She's like my hero of that movie.
Okay, you asked me earlier what superpower I would want to have.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be a really great superpower just to have
be lucky?
Yeah, pure luck.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Like everything works out for her. It's really cool. And can we talk about how she had hairy pits?
I didn't notice that.
Yes, Domino did not shave her underarms, and I think that was really cool because they didn't make a big deal out of it.
Right.
But she was wearing her outfit is sleeveless, and she had hair on her armpits.
I was making sure
cool.
to pay close attention to her acting and everything, and not objectify her in any way. So I didn't notice the
sure,
pits.
yeah.
So anyway, no, but I didn't notice that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But no, she was amazing. Like just the casualness, like the way that they even reference like, oh, that's
not a
really,
superpower.
Yeah, it's not cinematic.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And it was.
And it
was so
worked
cinematic.
so well. It was so cool. It reminded me sort of like the feeling I got watching like Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And how like, you go into Ant-Man and you think like, okay, he can shrink and get big. Like, like what? How are you going to film that?
That's what she said.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And she like you think like, oh, how can they do this? And then it's the same kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Like,
it was
off.
It was a huge success.
Yeah.
They took what sounds like the lamest superhero, and they turned him into a big success. You know? So.
Oh yeah. But yeah. So I didn't give you an answer to what superpower I would want.
Oh yeah.
But I was thinking like in everyday life, manipulate time. So pause, fast forward.
Now,
rewind.
see, that would be a good one, but I've put a lot of thought into this. Would you age differently from those around you?
Well,
for example, let's say you stop time for an hour and you continue to exist while time is stopped for an hour. Would you age that hour?
See,
I feel like if the more you use your power, the quicker you will age,
Right.
and that could be a problem.
and that's true. That is true. Because like my whole thought is like I would like okay, we were watching A Wrinkle in Time, which we'll talk about in a moment. And like I wasn't.
You know what? I completely forgot we watched that movie, and it was today.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get to that.
And spoiler alert, but I didn't really like it. So like I was starting to like kind of get drowsy. I don't know if you noticed it, but I was like kind of like fighting, like keeping my eyes open. And then I thought like I wish I could just like freeze time, take a nap for like 3 hours and then unfreeze time and finish this movie.
But see, my question is, would you age those
3
hours and no one else would because they're frozen in time?
And see, that's where the main conundrum comes in because that gives you more, I guess that would give you more time, like present time to live because you would be, the thought is that you would freeze time, sleep, and then unfreeze time. So you're
and then
awake.
have all that extra time.
Yeah. And I mean, you're asleep for a large portion of your life anyway.
Yeah.
So basically it's basically like flexing your sleep hours and everything. So like instead of, sleeping for however many years, you're living for that many years, but dying that many years earlier.
Yeah. So it's a trade-off.
It is, yeah. But as far as that's like the normal day, like normal life idea of what superpower I would want, just because I am terrible with my time.
Sure. And I had said teleportation.
Which is more practical. For this scenario.
I just feel like it would be useful. Like you think about how much money you would save on gas.
Yep.
You wake up 5 minutes before you have to be at work, and then you teleport into the bathroom stall.
Yeah. We had this conversation before, and it was when I worked from home. By the way, guys, I got a new job. Just saying, yay!
Congratulations!
Yes, I now have to work in an office again, but that's fine. Same company and everything. It's fun. I tweeted about it anyway. Pizza roll. Hi,
pizza.
Hi, kitty. Anyway, but you had said like, oh, it'd be great to, wake up 5 minutes before work. And like, I made the smart ass comment of like, yeah, that would be pretty great. 'Cause that's what I did. But now I don't work from home. Anyway, but then in a super powered world, I don't know what what kind of superpower.
I had said, super strength, which you thought was very unoriginal.
I didn't say unoriginal,
but it was implied.
It was heavily implied. Yeah.
I just think it would be cool to have super strength. Like, first of all, it is very cinematic.
That is true.
Like, it's always the hero, like if it's a team of superheroes, it's always the hero with super strength who gets in the last, blow to the bad guy.
That's true.
And that would be me.
Yeah. Okay.
So what would yours be in a superpower world where you had to use your powers to fight evil?
To fight evil.
Or to be evil, if that's, your dig.
Ooh.
What would
I think I could be evil.
What would your power be?
The power to not have my feelings hurt.
God knows you don't have that here.
I know.
Earlier you said the ability to deflect laser beams.
Yes. Because that's a practical thing in case someone with laser beams.
But what if someone with any other power attacked you? What if I, super strength Kyrsten attacked you? You would be powerless to stop me.
That's true. I think I would do like healing abilities.
Oh.
Like Wolverine style.
Oh, like self-healing.
Yeah, because super strength, okay, cool. That's cool and everything. But someone chops off your head, you're done.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Or being bulletproof like Luke Cage, that'd be cool.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway,
so I'd be like Jessica Jones, and you'd be like Luke Cage.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I am built like Luke Cage, so yeah.
You're really lucky that this is a podcast.
I know.
And we can't see you.
Yeah. Anyway. So anyway, what movie were we talking about?
We were talking about Deadpool 2.
Deadpool 2. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about? There's a surprise in it. I don't want to give it away if you haven't seen it.
Yeah. A great twist ending.
Yes, and I was floored by that in the movie. I did have some qualms about it just in terms of the internet, because the moment before it's revealed in the movie, I remembered some website, probably Screen Rant or something, saying oh, does this shot from the trailer mean that this is going to happen in Deadpool 2? And it came to my mind right before that happened.
I just want to say I hadn't read the article, but I guessed.
You did.
I'm really good at guessing twist endings.
You are pretty good at guessing.
I spend a lot of the times when Matt and I are at movies, I spend a lot of time whispering the ending to the movie in his ear, and I'm almost always right.
Yeah,
I'm really good at that.
Time. And before Tony text me or anything, my friend Tony who listens to the podcast.
Okay.
She doesn't do it in a disrupting fashion, because I speak very, very vocally about how much I hate when people talk in movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We've been friends for so many years.
I know. But it's not it's more when it's
it's enhancing the film.
Yes.
I think. When
it's actually having a conversation. And it's not like you're screaming oh, I think Bruce Willis is dead in this movie. It's you're what if he's dead? Or
oh my God, I think he's dead.
Yeah, and it helps me because I have terrible memory. So you're oh, remember when he did this? And maybe this means that. And I'm all right, yeah, shut up. No, I'm not. No,
that explains why you dumped your soda on me.
Yes. Well, that's just because you're you.
Makes sense.
Yeah, just kidding. Anyway, so Deadpool 2, and I had my letterboxed up. Okay. So, A Star Wars Story. We saw that together.
I was really confused.
Yeah.
I was what is Low a Star Wars Story?
It's what we in the podcast world call a segue.
Yeah. Oh, it was good. Yeah, we saw Solo.
Yes.
Okay. I would say easily the weakest addition to the new Star Wars films.
Right. The weakest of the new.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And you talked about how you grew up watching Star Trek and The Next Generation. So we've had conversations like this where you're more of a Star Trek girl, not Star Wars. How do you feel about Star Wars as a whole?
I like Star Wars. I've seen I didn't see Rogue One. I still haven't seen it. It's on my Netflix queue, but you know how I am about Netflix.
Right.
So I'm going to watch it. I just haven't gotten around to it. But besides that, I've seen every film in the franchise. And I like Star Wars.
Yeah.
But it didn't, you know, I've never been a huge Star Wars fan.
Right.
I see them because I think they're good movies, but I don't care about the franchise as a whole.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I am.
So you're not one to harass an actress until they quit social media.
No. Who would do such a thing?
Right?
Why? You got to be heartless.
It's like,
yeah.
And we could have a whole conversation about the toxic fandom, but and we might, but it's just, it's
horrible.
It's terrible. Like, not only that, but like this whole, like, oh, we're going to remake The Last Jedi and...
Are you?
No.
Are you, buddy?
Yeah.
Are you, Trevor?
Like, come on.
Come on, buddy.
It's like, come on, guys. Just let it go. Let it go.
Like Elsa said.
Yes, exactly.
Just let it go.
Yeah. So we saw Solo.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I had, we had tickets, and then, my friend Fecus, who frequent guest Robert Fecus, he was like, hey, do you want to see Solo? And I was like, yeah, sure. Cause like, I have a running thing. Like, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but I've seen like all the new movies, like in theaters. I've happened to see them like twice. So I was like, yeah, you know, sure. I'm probably going to like it anyway. Cause you know, it's a good, you know,
because it's a Star Wars movie.
Yeah. I've liked the ones that have come out. So, me and Robert and Peter Fecus, his brother, went to the IMAX downtown to see it the day after you and I saw it.
Yeah.
And I remember the second that the movie ended with when you and I saw it, I was
just
like,
filled with a sense of dread knowing you had to sit through it again.
Yeah. I was literally like, I don't want to be a dick and back out, but like, man, I don't want to see this movie again.
Okay.
So how did you feel about Solo?
Having some distance from it now, it's been a couple weeks since we've seen it.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like this representation of Han Solo that they gave the fandom might be their I'm sorry for the recent movies that came out, because he was everything that you would want in a young action hero.
Right.
And I think I made the comment right after we saw the film that he almost felt like a Mary Sue in his own movie, in that he wasn't, I don't know, it just didn't feel like Han Solo.
Right.
You know, it felt like he was the culmination of everything perfect that you would want an action hero to be. And he had no flaws. He saved the day. It felt like really, you know, it didn't feel genuine.
Sure. And like, I liked what he did with the role, like in terms of actual performance and everything. Like,
he was okay. Yeah. I mean, I'd never, who's the actor in it? I never,
Alden Ehrenreich.
He was okay, but he didn't even stand out in a movie about him.
And
like,
I think
Donald Glover was the star
amazing.
of the movie, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And he wasn't in it enough.
No,
like, at all.
I was waiting for 3/4 of the movie for him to come in.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I felt like they really baited us in.
Yeah.
The trailers, you know, he was in, you know, all the trailers.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, he's going to be a major character in the movie, and he's really not.
He's not. And he comes in, and then when they're done with him, he's gone.
He's not in the final action sequence at all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And kind of some of my qualms with it were that it just felt like I didn't care about really the plot or anything.
Yeah. It didn't hook me.
And it really didn't. Me neither.
The stakes felt kind of low.
They did, which is, it's fine to have low stakes if you're going to like have an interesting story or have an interesting character.
To prop it up.
Yeah. But the problem with Solo for me was that the character development we got of Han Solo, it's like, it just seems I didn't really first of all, I never wanted a Solo movie. Like I've never been interested in a Han Solo movie. And the arc that they have is like he's not necessarily already like the rogue guy. Like he has this love interest that he's wanting to go back for. Like that's his whole motivation. But it just seems like the movie did not try hard enough to put him on a path to lead to him being like the Han Solo that we know in the original trilogy. Yeah. And it didn't fit well. And then like it just seems like the movie was hitting specific marks. Like, okay, well, we need to have him fly. We need to have him interact with Lando. We need to have him fly the Millennium Falcon. We need him to do the Kessel Run because that's a thing in.
So they
in
were
the
just
series.
going between. They were hitting all the hallmarks of the movie that everyone expected.
Exactly.
And there was very little substance between.
Exactly.
The one bit, so he talks about how he's a great pilot, and he wants to prove himself, and he teams up with this band of ragtag, like space bandits.
Con artists.
And they don't let him fly their plane.
Oh, yes.
Until the pilot is injured, and Han has to take over. But the thing is, at that point, the ship is like tethered to the train.
Right.
And he's not really flying. He's just keeping it steady. And they're like, he's such a good pilot.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
it's like you're a heck of a pilot, kid.
He's not even flying.
Yeah.
It's tethered to the train.
It's tethered that's moving on a track.
It's basically on autopilot.
Yeah. And
it's like stuff like that.
Right. And that whole sequence was bothersome to me because it felt like you weren't really aware of the whole problems with the production and everything.
I was not, yeah.
Yeah, so when I saw that, I was like, there's this whole big set piece of them pulling a heist on a train.
It's very cinematic.
It's very cinematic, yeah. But it just feels like this is like the second act of the movie, and it feels so much like they maybe had already filmed this sequence and then they scrapped the rest of the movie, and that this was supposed to be the big action set piece at the end.
That is what it felt like.
Yeah. Everything felt just disjointed, and the actress Tandy Newton, who played I can't remember her character's name, but she was the wife of I can't remember his character name either. What is it? Woody Harrelson's characters. There's no development or anything with her, and she's Tandy Newton's an incredible actress, and she's completely wasted in the movie.
She gets fridged early on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then the other set pieces, there's the train heist, and then there's the Kessel Run, and then by the time we get to the end of the movie, it's very, very small. It's a fight in enclosed space in a room, and it's it feels like the movie shot its wad early, and then it was in a scramble to patch together an ending.
Yeah.
And then by the time the Kessel Run had ended and we were going into the last 30 minutes of the movie, I was sitting there thinking I just want it to end now. I want this movie to be done.
Yeah.
Because I just wasn't getting anything from it. And also, I've tried so hard to be to not force myself to be a Star Wars fan, but to try to get what everyone loves about it.
Yeah.
And then do you remember when they get to the yacht where they first are introduced to Paul Bettany's character, the kind of main villain guy?
Oh yeah.
And then how they have the the lounge singer that's doing the Star Wars thing. It's not it's basically a nod to the cantina scene and everything. At that moment, it looks weird. It's silly alien things, and I was just I just don't think I like Star Wars. That was just I don't think it's for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel the same. They're good movies.
Right.
I don't love the series.
Yeah.
It's okay. I feel the same way about Harry Potter.
Okay.
I just didn't get into it. I think I read half of the first book, maybe, and I've seen the first 3 movies probably, but I didn't some people are nuts
obsessed
about the series, and that's great if you relate to it in that way, but I just didn't connect with it.
Right.
I what I saw was enjoyable, but it didn't hook me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like my friend Feckus is a huge Harry Potter fan.
Sorry, Feckus.
Yeah. And I like Harry Potter, but I'm not obsessed with it. I want to go to Harry Potter World just because
I'm not obsessed, but I definitely want to go to Harry Potter World.
And I really like the books. The movies, it's not anything that I watch with any regularity or anything, but I have been meaning to reread the books because I can understand not being into it or anything, but if you give it a chance and you latch onto it, the writing, J.K. Rowling's writing is really amazing because it's
I mean, I'm sure it is because she made a huge franchise out of this,
She became a billionaire author.
Yes.
Which is completely.
At the same time, I kind of want it to stop. I don't need any more Harry Potter movies.
Oh yeah. The
Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
I find it hard to support a film like people keep putting Johnny Depp in movies, and I'm like, stop putting Johnny Depp in movies.
Yeah. That's a huge point of contention for you because obviously you know about his allegations and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Which and I just don't care about.
Well, here's the thing. People act like Johnny Depp is the greatest actor who ever lived, and it's like he's good with working in prosthetics, and in crazy costumes, but I don't think he's amazing enough to overlook what he has done in the past to keep putting him in movies.
There was a Rolling Stone article where he was like, it was basically like talking about how he's like pretty much broke. Like he's
I
lost
heard
all
about
of
that.
his,
Yeah.
But yeah, and I don't know. I
find that amazing because they're still putting him in movies.
Right. When I visited my friend Mike, who's on sabbatical from the podcast, I went down there on a Thursday, and like he does a Thursday movie night thing. And the only movie that was available to really watch that they hadn't seen yet and I hadn't seen yet was the latest Pirates of the Caribbean.
So how many Pirates of the Caribbean movies have they made?
Like 5.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it wasn't good. Me and Mike actually reviewed it on the podcast, but it was one of those things where it was like, it's amazing how in vogue Johnny Depp was when Pirates of the Caribbean started, because Jack Sparrow, he was really good in the first one.
And the first one the film was a huge success.
Oh yeah, and then now it's just like on top of just not really caring about the franchise or the movie, it's like Johnny Depp didn't do anything to impress me in the movie or anything, and yeah, I totally get that about Are you one to boycott a person's work if they've done something and
no. Because I have seen Johnny Depp movies since all that came out. I saw what was the Orient Express?
Oh, Murder on the Orient Express.
I did see that.
Oh, you
now,
did?
in my own defense, I was going with a friend.
Okay.
He really wanted to see it. I was like, why don't we see this instead? And he was like, I really want to see this, and he was paying for the movie tickets. So
nice.
I was like, well, okay. And it ended up not being great.
Sure. Tiny actually saw it, and he had some good things to say about it.
I didn't think it was great. Well, you know how I love to solve the mystery by the end.
Right, yeah.
This was a mystery you could not solve. Because there were no clues planted in the movie that led to whodunit, A good mystery will let the audience solve it.
Okay.
Because they want the audience to feel smart. If the audience feels smart, they will keep watching the movies or reading the books or whatever the medium is.
Yeah.
But, in order for the audience to be able to solve the mystery, they have to plant clues.
Right.
And this film didn't do it. It was like, just kidding, it was this guy all along. And it was like, there was no way for you to figure it out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah.
Because I've never read it and I've never seen any version of it, but I've always been kind of curious to like read Agatha Christie or watch some of her stuff. But that's disappointing.
Yeah,
it seems, interesting. What else? Oh, the Solo. Anything else on that?
No, I have nothing else to say.
Yeah, it's been probably a few weeks. It's been about almost a month. And it's just like I don't think about it.
Yeah,
really.
And it's not even like it was a disappointing film,
right?
Because I think we've pretty well established that neither of us care,
right?
And going into it, we were both kind of like, well, this probably isn't going to be great, because no one asked for this film,
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
What else have we seen? Because I was looking at my Letterboxd and
A Quiet Place.
Yeah. Oh, A Quiet Place. Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you think of A Quiet Place?
I loved it.
Nice.
It was great. But I love John Krasinski. Ever since
it's
The
interesting.
Office.
You talked about your favorite shows, but you didn't mention.
I didn't mention
The Office.
I love The
Yeah.
Office. It's one of those shows that I can rewatch over and over.
Are
and
you
over
sure
again.
that Friends isn't your favorite sitcom though?
The Office is I don't know what you're talking about. The Office is my favorite sitcom.
I'll add in an explanation.
Anyway, it was a character we've never seen from John Krasinski, and
Barely heard.
On top of that, he wrote and directed the film.
Yeah,
which is very impressive. I love that they used a deaf actress for the role of the daughter. I don't even remember the characters' names because they were never mentioned in the film. We didn't even know they had names, but we saw them in the credits.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, the film is mostly silent. It was very engaging.
Oh yeah, and very intense. Like
Yeah.
that, because we saw it like opening weekend.
Yeah.
And it was a fairly populated screening, and like I don't know if you felt this, but just like how quiet
Yeah,
the film was.
it's so odd because you don't
Yeah.
get that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and especially in horror movies, you know, they rely heavily on sound. I took
Yeah.
when I was in college, I was a theater major in college, and one of the classes I took was like a film studies course.
Okay.
And one of the things we did is we watched different famous clips of different films, all kinds of different genres, without sound.
Oh,
To
interesting.
see if they evoked the same kind of emotions, and they didn't.
Okay.
We watched like a scene from Halloween, you know, a very scary murder scene, but without the music, it's kind of goofy,
Right.
You know, but this, there was no feeling of that. It was it was very suspenseful without the suspenseful music,
Right.
So
it leaned into the discomfort of quiet.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just like in the theater experience too, it was just like the screen's quiet and like you don't hear people like rustling around with like popcorn
because
and stuff.
they're so engaged,
They're so engaged.
holding their
yeah.
breath, waiting for
Oh,
what's
yeah.
going to happen next. It was really good at that.
Yeah.
And I loved that you didn't get the full origin story of what happened.
Right.
You're thrown in the middle. And there are hints, you know, the newspaper clippings that the father has up in his work area.
Yeah.
You know, you can kind of piece it together on your own, but they don't come out and say, well, this is what happened, or they don't give you a
Right.
flashback sequence and show you this is what happened. They kind of let you make that up on your own, and I really liked that. And they do
Yeah.
that at the end too. They
Yeah.
let you make up your own ending.
Oh yeah, and
So.
it's like some of the stuff on his board and everything. Like it seems a little too a little exposition-y to us because it's like why would he write like what is the cure or what is their weakness?
Yeah,
it's like it's kind of
but that's
silly.
better than explaining it.
better
Like than
yeah.
having a conversation about
Exactly. And as far as beginning scenes of movies, like that will stick with me for a while.
Yeah.
Because
Oh my God,
just
yeah.
The ballsiness of it.
Yeah, that
It's,
was. I think I remember like actively gasping.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
When it happened
Oh, yeah.
because it was so shocking.
Right.
Like you don't do that in films.
No, you really don't.
And it was great.
Oh, yeah.
It was a
Oh,
really
yeah.
cool scene, like in a
Absolutely.
heartbreaking kind of way. But yeah, it
Right.
was really cool.
Yeah. I also saw Hereditary, which we won't talk about here because you haven't seen it, but there is at least one moment in it that's like going to stick with me for a long time. But it's funny because Mike is actually going to be in town in a few weeks, and he and I have had like conversations about Hereditary and everything. So I told him like I was like, hey, when you're in town, we should have like an episode all about Hereditary and just talk about it. And he's like, yeah, totally. And I was like, that'll give me an excuse to go see it again.
I really want to see it.
Yeah.
It's been out for a couple weeks.
It's been out for probably like 3 weeks at this
Okay.
point. Yeah.
And people are still talking about it.
It's a very interesting movie. Very interesting. But yeah, so more on that in the coming weeks and everything. I'm trying to think what other movies we've seen together that we haven't talked about on the podcast before, me and Tiny. But let's see. You liked it.
I did.
Yeah.
I really liked it with my
Yeah.
clown daddy.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
God, don't say.
Look, okay.
Go ahead.
Argue if okay,
Dig your
look,
grave.
the clown is hot. I would maybe fuck the clown.
Wow.
You
Wow.
know.
We're a children's podcast.
Well, that's unfortunate. This is just
Wow.
like Deadpool 2, you know. Don't
Yeah.
bring them if you don't want them to hear this. But Pennywise was kind of hot.
As the clown, though.
It's, you know.
Because, like, my whole thing was, like, you said, like, oh, yeah, well, what's his name? Skarsgård. He's hot. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I get that. But, like, do you really think him in Pennywise makeup
Okay, realistically,
is
no.
attractive?
Would I fuck the killer clown? No, I wouldn't no, because he eats children
That's very
and
intolerant
lives in a
of you.
sewer.
Wow.
And is a clown.
Wow.
So no, but look, yeah, okay, I'll climb in the sewer with you, Daddy. I'll float with you. Yeah, okay.
Now I have
Make
that
me
recorded.
float. Make me float.
Anyway,
That was a great movie, though.
wow, that was a very good
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
I love, because I obviously I love Stephen King.
Yeah. Really, I had never heard that before.
Yeah, well, it's
She
funny.
said sarcastically.
Well, I also have a Stephen King podcast, so I'll give
my
you
God.
a business card and everything. And
What are you going to tell me next? You have a Twilight Zone podcast, too? Come on.
I do,
shut up.
anthology, yeah. But yeah, have you ever seen The Twilight Zone?
I have seen The Twilight Zone. I haven't watched The Twilight Zone. I feel like there's a difference.
Yeah. There's one episode that I think you'd get a lot out of. It's like my favorite episode ever. Hang on, I think Pizza has a little thing.
She does. She has a little twist tie.
Kitty. But yeah, so there is an episode of The Twilight Zone that I want to force you to watch.
Okay,
yeah, it's
that's scary.
Yeah, well, it's actually this one right here that I'm pointing to. The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. I have a poster of it, so that's how important it is.
It's right next to Homer Simpson.
Yes. Oh, yes. And then right next to Lost, which I haven't made you watch Lost. That's
again, I have seen episodes of Lost.
Yes, but you haven't.
I tried to watch
Lost.
it from the beginning at one point, and but it was. I mean, I was in like high school, and I had stuff going on, and so I couldn't.
Oh yeah. So. It was funny because I remember like the first time you and I hung out like ever.
Yeah.
I think I actually asked you like, I was like, "What did you think of the ending to Lost?" Like assuming that you were like me
just
and watched
knowing
everything.
I had seen it, and I was like, I don't know, I've never seen it.
I don't know. Get me out of this fucking car. But no.
How'd you know? Oh my god.
But yeah, so you wanna fuck Pennywise? That's cool.
Okay, let's talk about the child actors. They were really really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my god. Finn Wolfhard.
Yeah. Of
Amazing.
course, already I love him.
Oh yeah. And I have
but he's such a different character.
Exactly.
He's a completely different character in
Absolutely.
it. Yeah. Which is really great because it's such a talented young actor.
Oh, absolutely.
It's great to see.
And that's the thing that stuck with me when watching like Stranger Things season 2.
Yeah.
Is that like
they're all so dynamic. They're very talented. Like, I have said this before. A lot of times, bad child actors can break a movie or a TV show. It can be a great show.
That's a good segue to something. Go ahead.
And even if the show or movie isn't centered around the child, it can just drag the production down so hard. And it and Stranger Things, they found the right kids.
They really did.
And the brothers who direct Stranger Things,
the Duffer Brothers,
they have said that they auditioned 500 girls to play 11 and like 900 boys to play the core group of boys.
Yeah.
And it shows.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they definitely got the right kids.
Oh yeah. Cuz like, and we talk about this on the podcast a lot, is like child actors can obviously, they're very difficult to like. It's a mark to a good director that they can get great performances.
I know what your segue was.
Right.
We just watched A Wrinkle in Time.
We did.
It's been out for months now.
Yeah. Because we would see the trailer and we'd be like, oh, I want to see that.
That looks good. It looks like a good movie.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? It did look like a good movie.
It did.
Visually, it was very stunning. The locations were amazing. The effects were really great. The costuming, the hair, and the makeup. Visually, it was a great movie.
Right.
In actuality, it was not that great. It was. I remember reading the book as a child.
Okay, see, I was going to ask if you ever read the book or anything because I never have.
But not since I was like 9 years old, though.
Okay.
But it's just like any movie adaptation of a book. Everything is so condensed that watching the film, you can feel where things have been left out. Yeah, because it's very rushed.
The pacing is all off.
Yeah,
I like when you get to the point in the movie where like the inciting incident where you're propelling yourself into the story, I was not caring at all.
Yeah.
And like the central mystery of like what happened to the dad and like what like
it's not compelling.
Not compelling at all.
Yeah.
And then you get a sidekick character that's introduced completely randomly.
For no reason.
Yeah.
Why was he there?
Right.
He didn't do anything.
He really didn't.
But we're talking about child actors.
Yeah.
The actress who played Meg was a little underwhelming.
Right.
She didn't have a lot of expression, and she didn't seem right to carry an entire movie on her back.
Absolutely. And like, did you ever see The Jungle Book, the new one?
No, I didn't.
Okay. That was a movie that was ruined for me because of a child actor that played Mowgli.
Yeah.
He was awful.
Yeah. But however, the actor who played Charles Wallace, who is Meg's little brother, was amazing.
He was he saved the movie for me.
He essentially played two different characters because he was playing Charles Wallace and then he was playing Charles Wallace while he was possessed by it or whatever. He was his heart was invaded by it.
Yeah.
And he was a completely different character. And this kid is like he's got to be like 6 years old, 7 years old.
Yeah. His name's Derek McCabe. And yeah, I don't know what else he's been in, but yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, his demeanor changed, his facial expressions, his voice, the way he walked changed. It was really stunning.
Absolutely.
He was definitely the standout actor in the movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
In a movie with Chris Pine in it. And,
right.
you know, he was way more memorable than Chris Pine.
Yeah. Or Oprah.
Yeah. Mindy Kaling.
Or Reese
although
Witherspoon.
I will say, the misses were great. I liked them.
See, they were great, but
we got no backstory on them. We didn't know why they were there.
Right.
The whole thing, it was, the movie was more confusing, you know,
yeah,
than it had to be, I think.
Yeah, and the introduction of Reese Witherspoon as Mrs. Whatsit was just like she appeared in someone's house, and it's like, I would freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like I would
call the police. Like she's in here talking to my 6-year-old son.
Right.
Some crazy lady dressed in a big white poofy dress.
Right. And I felt like the writing just did nothing for, like, it was just very stale and just, the whole movie was just not engaging to me.
The central plot of the movie is that Meg is some kind of chosen one who is going to find her father, who has exploited a tesseract to travel to a different planet across the universe. But they never say why she's the chosen one. When Charles Wallace is revealed to have one of the greatest minds of the universe, and he was the one who was in contact with the misses and helped bring them there, you know, but somehow Meg, who isn't good at this, like she can't even tesser successfully, and she has glasses and curly hair. That was a big thing too. She's supposed to be like this ugly kid at school, but she was like really cute. She was this cute little kid. I was like, just get an ugly actor, just hire an ugly little girl, and I would have been much more happy. Right. You know, I did. As it is, I could not suspend my disbelief. Right. What I did appreciate about the movie was that there was a line where someone told her to shut up. They actually said, "Shut up." They said, "Shut up, Meg." Yeah, that was good. That was good. I can only think they put that in there for adults who had to take their kid to see that film, so they could have a little bit of happiness. Yeah, and then there was also an interest, kind of slick Hamilton reference. There was, which it didn't even register with me until you pointed it out. Mindy Kaling's character spoke mostly in quotes, and she would quote different figures through history, and she did quote a song from Hamilton. Yeah, "Tomorrow there will be more of us." Right, Miranda, American. And then I made the remark that it would be funny if like someone re-edited it to have her only speak like lines from The Office and say like Michael Scott, American. Yeah. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, right, American. Right. And then another thing about it was that I thought that the kind of, first of all, it's called A Wrinkle in Time. Technically, I think it could probably be A Wrinkle in Space, technically, but you know, whatever. That's true. He didn't time travel. Exactly. Although I think we did establish that they came back at the exact moment that they left. Yeah. So it was like they were never gone. Yeah. So which leads to they had this whole adventure. Yeah. But it was like they did time. There was time traveling involved. Yeah. Which the lack of interest I had in the movie led me to think that like when they are transported or when they're tessered over to the other planet with the misses, and like it's very colorful, vibrant. There's like one of them transforms into a flying piece of lettuce. Yes, she looked like a flying piece of lettuce. Yeah. All I kept thinking was like, this movie just feels more like these kids just found some acid and are tripping. Yeah. I think there's a lot of evidence to support that. Yeah. And that's kind of the big failing of the movie for me, was that it didn't have like an engaging thread to really have any kind of momentum for it. Yeah. So it didn't have like any I don't know what's the word. I'm blanking on the word, but it didn't have like any sense of urgency. Okay, yeah. The villain of the movie is this nondescript darkness called It, which is introduced like it's almost halfway through the movie. Yeah. And even then, it's not a threat until the very end. Right. And it's so vague, and you don't understand what it is, where it came from, what it really wants. You just know that it's evil. Yeah. And it felt like just a stand-in for like all the world's evil and everything. And I don't know. I mean, it would have been cool if they would have had like a scene where like
the darkness is separating kids at a border or something, but from their parents.
Who
but,
would do
yeah.
that's too
That's too
evil.
much.
That's
it's too much.
Don't even talk. Don't even joke.
Yeah.
Zach Galifianakis was in it though.
Oh yeah,
and he was pretty funny.
I wish there was more of him.
Yeah, he
in
was
it.
only in one scene. He had a small role in the grand scheme of the film, but
Right.
he was pretty funny.
good.
I enjoyed him.
Yeah, that's where I kind of started getting a little bit more interested,
Yeah.
and then.
But I
he
mean,
wasn't in it.
it visually it was a really good movie.
Yeah.
I thought the costuming was beautiful. And unique.
Yeah.
And the hair
Very
design,
unique.
makeup. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're like the misses are like very kind of. I use the word flamboyant. Like they're very flamboyantly dressed and everything. It's fitting with
and
the
every time they
characters.
test her, which is several times in the film, they appear different.
Yeah.
Their appearance is altered and they look really cool.
Yeah.
They just look really cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're probably gonna have to wind down here in a minute,
Yeah.
but to switch gears real quick, what movies are coming out that you're interested in? Because I know that we've seen tons of trailers.
Yeah.
Like Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom just came out, and I know that pretty much every time the trailer comes up, I kind of look over to you and I'm like, I just have no interest in it.
I was really excited for Jurassic World because Jurassic Park is a fantastic movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Chris Pratt is a fantastic actor, and so I was very excited for it. And it was really kind of a letdown, you know? So I really am not that excited.
Yeah. I'm
about
not
the new
either.
Jurassic World movie. I'm glad Jeff Goldblum's going to be in it because I really like Jeff Goldblum.
Well, that's the thing. He is apparently in 2 scenes.
Okay, great.
that
Yeah,
are-
they're doing the same thing that Solo did with Donald Glover.
Well, even from the sound of it, even more brief.
Man.
Like it's to the point where, from what I've heard from like Fecus and from some other people like on the internet, is that he's in 2 very brief scenes, and like at that point, I'm like,
What? Why?
Yeah.
They're just that's baiting the audience.
Exactly. And that is what is so troublesome
Yeah.
to me, because Jurassic World, as bad as a movie as I thought it was, I did not like the movie. It was still like the highest grossing movie of that year. Like
Sure,
it broke records
yeah.
for highest grossing movie of all time. So soon after that, they announced like, oh, Jeff Goldblum is going to be in the next one. And for it to amount to him being in 2 scenes, have him be very prominent in the trailer, or at least have his voiceover in the trailer,
Yeah.
and everything, like,
They know what they're doing.
yeah, like why? It feels like a selfish thing, because
Yeah, I agree.
it's this huge success.
Uh-huh.
Like, why didn't they just quietly have him in the movie?
Yeah.
Have it be like an Easter egg
Yeah,
for fans. To come
That
in.
would have been
Yeah.
preferable.
Yeah.
But on the other side, I probably would have absolutely no interest in seeing it if I didn't know he was in it.
Oh,
I will say
yeah,
that.
that's fair.
Okay, so I'm just gonna list off a couple movies that I'm
Okay.
excited about seeing.
Sure.
Incredibles 2. Hereditary. Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Oh yes, that's
Mr.
right.
Rogers film. I'm very excited about that.
That was actually playing at Keystone Art.
Yeah.
But after seeing Call Me by Your Name there,
one more.
I don't really.
Where'd it go? Where'd it go?
Sicario 2.
Sorry to Bother You.
Oh yes,
That one.
yes.
That one. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh yeah.
I kind of want to see Skyscraper
Oh, me too.
because I love a good disaster movie.
Yeah. A good big dumb fun movie.
Yeah, 8th grade.
Oh yes.
Bo Burnham's
When does that come out? Because that
July 13th.
Okay.
That's,
oh, nice.
It's
So a couple
getting
weeks.
rave reviews.
Oh, absolutely.
It looks really great.
And Bo Burnham is amazing.
Yeah. The Domestics, which I just saw the trailer for yesterday.
The Domestics.
Yeah. It's okay, I'll admit, I love the show Teen Wolf.
Okay.
I didn't list that in the beginning.
Fair.
I know you were waiting for me to say it.
Right.
It's a horrible show. It's so bad, but
She actually flew to Paris.
It's like my favorite guilty pleasure TV show.
Sure.
It's not on anymore. It ended last year, but Tyler Hoechlin, who was one of the breakout actors from Teen
Right.
Wolf, is starring in this movie. It's like a post-apocalyptic survival in the new world kind of film.
Okay.
It looks really good. It looks like a little bit different from normal survival post-apocalyptic films, but I saw the trailer yesterday. It looks really good.
Interesting. It's funny that that's your guilty pleasure show, because you're my guilty pleasure friend.
I hate you. Yeah, I think that's all I'm really excited about.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else is coming out. I don't know, but yeah, so that's cool. 8th grade, I keep forgetting that's coming out.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, and Won't You Be My Neighbor looks really good.
Oh, I just know I'm gonna cry.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
a big movie crier.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, movies that aren't even all that sad.
Yeah.
I'm a big sympathetic crier, and if something even remotely sad happens, I saw Coco twice, and I cried both times.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's I'm tearing up right now. But so I know I'm gonna cry at Won't You Be My Neighbor. I just know I am.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that'll about do it, I think.
All right.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get dinner.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for having me on the show, Matt. This has been fun.
Problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for
Sitting on your couch
sitting
and
on my
talking.
couch and talking to me and recording it.
Sure.
Yeah. Anything you want to put out into the universe? Do you want to say your Twitter handle again?
My Twitter handle is burger_lurker. Follow me. I'm mediocre at tweeting at best, so don't expect much.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
And if you let me know what you guys thought of Kyrsten, because yeah.
Be honest.
Yeah.
I can take it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. I forget how I end these things because, again, it's been a couple months. Tiny and I were supposed to record, but we ended up just catching up because it's been so long. Okay. Yeah, I guess it doesn't. Oh, that's right. Okay. We have a pre-recorded outro and everything. Oh my God.
That's why you couldn't remember.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, next time on the podcast, I don't know what's going to happen. I think Tiny's going to probably do something, but yeah. So thank you guys for listening. Sorry for such a long delay, and we'll see you next time. If you are a Patreon subscriber, I'm thinking since our output has been out like so like sporadic and everything, I might just close down the Patreon and switch over to PayPal. Like, if you guys want to still support the show, like, go ahead and, or I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to probably edit the tiers on Patreon. So I don't know. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Kyrsten, for being on, and we'll see you next time. Okay. Fuck it.
I was trying not to breathe.
I was wondering what you were doing.
I wanted to kill myself.
And then I realized what you were doing, and then I was like, okay, well, I'll just go with it. And then I was like, I mean, you could have just laughed. Okay, so I'm going to go through my whole spiel. Be careful, because when I say it, it's going to make me irresistible.
Wait,
so
are you going to read it off your phone?
Yeah.
You don't have it memorized?
I do have it memorized, but
you're going to read it off
also
your phone
me.
because you might not have it memorized?
Because I'm the worst.
I know.
Yeah.
I hope that goes into the episode.
It
I hope that
probably
makes
will.
it in.
Thank you for listening to The Obsessive Viewer, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at ovpodcast.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or anywhere else podcasts are found. If you'd like to support the show, the best and easiest way is to leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. More ratings and reviews means it'll be easier for people to find the show in the highly competitive film and TV podcast genre. It also provides us with valuable feedback on the show. If you'd like to donate to the podcast, you can make a one-time PayPal donation at obsessiveviewer.com/donate, or become a patron at patreon.com/obsessiveviewer for recurring donations with different reward tiers. Every donation goes toward paying the fees to keep the podcast running and is greatly appreciated. For official Obsessive Viewer merch, including shirts, mugs, notebooks, phone cases, and more, visit our TeePublic store. You can also buy other great TeePublic designs in our store, and we'll get a small commission on the sale. You can find a link to the store in the show notes of this episode and at obsessiveviewer.com/donate. The Obsessive Viewer's theme song is An Eclipse of Events and is provided by Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. You can find that and more great music from them on iTunes, and like their Facebook page at facebook.com/loudlikemusic. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. We love to hear from you guys. You can contact us by emailing podcast@obsessiveviewer.com or by tweeting us at Obsessive Viewer, at Obsessive Tiny, and at I Am Mike White. You can also like us on Facebook and join the Facebook group at facebook.com/The Obsessive Viewer, where you can take part in discussions and polls between episodes. For more podcast content, check out Anthology, Matt's solo podcast, where he's reviewing The Twilight Zone as a first-time viewer and exploring other classic and contemporary science fiction anthology TV shows. You can find Anthology at anthologypod.com and anywhere podcasts are found. For book lovers, you can check out our sister site at obsessivebooknerd.com for book reviews, author spotlights, and a general celebration of reading. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts Chad and Amanda. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com and subscribe to the podcast on the app of your choice. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Kitty!